Today across our nation, it's Red Sunday. It means a lot of other salvos around the place are celebrating the launch of the Red Shield Appeal. We started collecting last weekend, and just that weekend we raised about $1,000 just last weekend, just in 2 days. And the wonderful thing about the Red Shield Appeal now is that all the money collected stays here for local mission. So it all stays here in Mandurah. All the money that we collect stays here in Mandurah for local families. I think that's wonderful, because it used to go over to Melbourne and then get split out and put into all social service areas. But now it all stays here. And so at the beginning of my message this morning, I just say we need collectors to help support people in need. Currently, we still have 57 3-hour collecting spots that still need to be filled. 57. So that's a lot. I don't want to fill all of them, please. If you can volunteer just 3 hours to help transform the lives of people doing it tough, that would be wonderful. Be really, really helpful. And it's pretty good, because we don't go around knocking on doors anymore. We're not here. You know, I remember when every year when Red Sunday came around, or Red Shield Sunday came around, they'd have a service of about half an hour, and then we would be out onto the streets, knocking on doors, spending, 5 or 6 hours, and hello, no thank you. And then you go to the next house, no thank you. Until you get someone, and then it's really lovely. But it's a lot of time. And I really enjoyed it, actually, going around to all the houses, but we don't do that now. And we don't stand on street corners shaking tins. Each shift is done in a shopping centre on a seat. How good is that? All you have to do is smile and say thank you. If you can sit here today, you can collect for the Red Shield Appeal. Actually, that's not all that you do. Sometimes people actually ask you, where's my money going? And so I thought I'd spend a little time just letting you know where the money's going. The first port of call for anyone experiencing hardship is our emergency relief service. And that happens here on Monday, Tuesday and Friday. And we currently assist around about 30 families each week. It used to be more than that, but after COVID, somehow there's less people in need, which is really interesting. But that equates to about 400 lives each year that we impact through that place. And through this service, people have access to food hampers and to clothing and to household goods and medical services and petrol vouchers. And our assessors are also assist with referrals to other social service agencies if we can't help. And our emergency relief team is headed up by Major Val Wilson and is made up of another 18 volunteers who work tirelessly every week. They do an amazing job. But with the amount of people coming through, they can't spend a lot of time with each person. It's impossible for them to do. So what we do, we have a case manager who works closely with people who require a more in-depth response, rather than just a food hamper if they need something a lot more than that. And our case manager is Linda Footer, who attends here. And she's able to invest more time with people and offer greater support. And then this church also provides Linda with a generous budget to assist people financially with bills and services. So that's good. But that's not the way we preferred to go with financial response, because we also have a financial counsellor who's been able to advocate for many families with companies and help people get their finances under control. So that's the first response. But as you're aware, people don't just come to us for their physical needs, but there's also emotional needs and social needs as well. And one of our responses is the PLP, our Positive Lifestyle Program, which is headed up by Kezia. And this is an 8-week one-on-one program that deals with things like anger and grief and loss and all those negative things that impact our lives. And then towards the end of it, it actually helps people make steps forwards towards their future. And so we have a team of people here that do the Positive Lifestyle Program. And of course, this is a church. So people come into the church And I've had the privilege, and others have had the privilege of sitting with people, talking with people, and then praying with people, and just praying into their lives and praying over their situations. And so this is how we currently assist the local community. But we also have many plans going forward to grow our impact. And so currently, we are in this building here with our welfare service, but we've also got our financial counselling and our case management out the back in the other building. So what we're planning to do is we're actually going to transition all of that into the quarters where I currently live. And they're going to boot me out, which is wonderful, because that'll be a one-stop shop. It'll actually allow our team to collaborate a lot more cohesively because they'll be in the same space and they'll just be offices for particular people. So this will become our new social service hub, a one-stop shop for our community, and we hope that this will grow. We hope that more people will come along and utilise the space, that other social services will come along, because we've already started conversations with Employment Plus and Oz Harvest and Mindscape and some Christian counselling services as well, all in the one space. So hopefully this will grow and will have even greater impact. We also understand that homelessness is a really growing issue here in Mandurah. Right now on our streets, every night, sleeping rough, are about 45 people around Mandurah every night. So we're hoping to alleviate this by constructing supported, affordable accommodation at the rear of our property. We've already raised this at the state level and have already begun conversations with developers. As you can see, our purpose is to transform lives. That's the purpose of the Salvation Army. We've already heard it this morning about, just in small ways, how people's lives have been impacted and transformed and supported, that we're a place of love and a place of acceptance and a place of care. We want to see that happen more and more and more. Actually, the Salvation Army's mission statement declares this: wherever there is hardship or injustice, Salvos will live, love and fight alongside others to transform Australia one life at a time with the love of Jesus. It's all about transformation. And this mission statement is right at the heart of the Red Shield Appeal. The appeal is all about transforming lives that are experiencing hardship and injustice. And we do this because Christ calls us to this. God, we know, has a heart for the poor, for the needy. It's spread throughout the whole of Scripture, this call to love our brothers, to support the needy, to visit those in prison. We just read about it earlier. In fact, my favourite scripture about God's call on my life and our life and the Salvation Army is from Isaiah 58. And it says this: "Is this not the kind of fasting I've chosen? To loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke." A yoke is something that, the bullocks have on there as they're farming, to get rid of that, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke. Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them and not turn away from your own flesh and blood? I love that scripture. That inspires me. It's a calling on my life. I believe it's the calling of the Salvation Army, and I believe that scripture is very reminiscent of the scripture that we read earlier from Matthew 25, when Jesus, which said this: "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you?" It could be us asking these questions. Or thirsty and give you something to drink. When did we see you a stranger and invite you in? Or need clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go and visit you? Well, and the king will reply to us, "Truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these, brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." God's desire is for us to respond to the needs of people, to feed the hungry, to shelter the homeless, to clothe the naked, to meet the needs of those suffering, going through hardship. These are the things he desires. And when we do these things, the wonderful thing is he's not just saying, hey, do this for people. He says, actually, when you do this, you are doing this for me. Oh, I love that. We're not only motivated and empowered by the love of God, but we are motivated by the love for God. Does that make sense? We're not motivated only by the love of God, but we're motivated by our love for God. Whatever you do for the least of these, you do for me. In fact, when we do these things, when we care for those in need, God sees our actions as a spiritual act of worship. You did it for me. We're doing it for God. This is my act of worship. I am living my life for Jesus. This is how we worship him. This is our calling. And does that motivate you to serve those in need? Oh, it does me. To serve others as if we're serving God himself, that motivates me, and it deepens my own thinking of why I'm helping others in need. Because let me tell you, sometimes others in need are not easy to help. They're difficult situations. And some people are really, really, really needy. And you just go, oh, here we go. But if I see that person as God, that when I serve that person, I am serving God, that changes my whole mindset. That's beautiful. I don't get so frustrated or, they're just going on, they're not helping themselves. I serve because I'm serving God. Our founder, William Booth, wanted to serve God with all of his being, and he found his calling in the service of those most in need in the community which he was in. You know, he was called to the people experiencing alcoholism and to the prostitutes on the street. The people, everyone else just went, it's too hard. And there's a powerful quote from William Booth that really summarises why the Salvation Army does, why we do what we do. And it's this one here. While women weep as they do now, I'll fight. While little children go hungry as they do now, I'll fight. While men go to prison in and out as they do now, I'll fight. While there is a drunkard left, while there is a poor lost girl upon the streets, while there remains one dark soul without the light of God, I'll fight. I'll fight to the very end. The very first thing Jesus did when he started his earthly ministry is to invite others to join him in doing his work. Think about how radical that is. Jesus, the incarnate and powerful God, the Lord of all creation, calls you and I, even in our weak and feeble and sin-filled state, to join him in his work. God invites us and he calls us and he desires us to be co-workers in the redemption of the world. And whatever you do for those in need, big or small, an encouraging word, a cup of tea, helping them pay a mortgage, collecting for the Red Shield Appeal, serving as a missionary, whatever you do for the least of these, you do for him. Jesus has shown us what he requires of us. We have received so freely from him because we were in need and he gave his all. So now freely we have to give. We have to go, we have to feed the hungry, we have to stand beside the broken. That's where we have to go. Not just called to come in church and worship God with our voices and our singing, but he requires us to go into action. And whatever you do for the least of these, you do for him.